is 52, cleared that first time along with Morris. But fails her first attempt there at 4.62. Having seen Morris go clear. Be a bit surprised if what she was saying to the officials just then is, I'll pass any further attempts at this and go for 4.72 now, the next height. They are the only two left in. Kyriakopoulou had 3 failures at 4.52. Remember, Stefanida here and Morris both went clear first time. Been a day when there's been a little bit of tired vaulting going on. Kyriakopoulou, her best 4.40, the European silver medalist. Holly Bradshaw, a second attempt at 4.40, the best of her day, the European Championship bronze medalist. Clearly they are suffering from fatigue, but Stefanidi up against it here. Sandy Morris in good form. Well, the next event on the track after the 3,000 meter, after the 1,500 flat for the ladies, is the 3,000 meter steeplechase. Still only 12 men ever under 8 minutes for the steeplechase. You'd think there'd be more, wouldn't you? It's been many, many years since it was first achieved. There's never been, by the way, a sub-8-minute steeplechase in the UK. Are we going to see one here today? And what are just about perfect conditions? The sun has broken out. The temperature is climbing here at Alexander Stadium. It's probably 22 or 23 degrees now. And this is an incredibly high caliber field. 9 of the top 10 in the world this year go here. The pacemaker is Daniel Arce of Spain. And, we go across the field now. Kirui, Bet, only 8th in Rabat, Bet. Matt Hughes, Commonwealth 4th placer. Kibiwot, Abraham Kibiwot, the Commonwealth silver medalist. El Bakali, just looking for El Bakali. He should have been there next to Kibiwot. Pedrani. Then Kipruto Pedrani, 10th in the European Championships for France. Konstantinos Kipruto, the Olympic champion, the world champion from last year, only 3rd in Monaco a month ago, and is desperate to break 8 minutes. He set his personal best here a couple of years ago. Kawal, the European Championship 4th placer. Caro, the European Championship silver medalist of Spain. Zach Seddon, 5th in Berlin. He had a fabulous week, Zach Seddon, for Britain. Hilary Bohr, the US number 2. Benjamin Keegan, the winner in Eugene earlier on this summer. Bayo, the winner in Doha. Ewan Thomas, 7th in the Commonwealth Games for Great Britain. Napoleon Solomon, fabulous name that. The Swede was 12th in the European Championships. He's 3rd to right there in the yellow. Leonard Kemoy Bet is the Kenyan champion this year. He's only 17 years old. And Mason Furlick of the USA on the inside, nearest the camera there. Big field, 18 starters, although El Bakali, I can tell you, it's just come up. El Bakali is a non-starter. He is the world number 1, and that's a great shame. Well, that does change the race somewhat. I wonder if Konstantinos Kipruto will run more aggressively now without having to worry about Bakali's kick. The Moroccan has a famed kick, the only athlete under 8 minutes this year. He improved in Monaco a month ago by some 6.5 seconds to run 7.58. But they've gone off very quickly here. Daniel Arce of Spain needs to have a little glance around, make sure he's not going off too quickly. It is Konstantinos Kipruto in 2nd place down the back straight. And Kipruto, of course, with that lifetime best here of 8:00.12, 12/100ths of a second. He was shy of breaking 8 minutes. In confident form, 3rd in Monaco. He has run 8:08 this year, but he's worth several seconds quicker than that. He's got fabulous flat speed. He's the Olympic record holder on time with that win in Rio. They come into the home straight now, and they'll see 6 laps to go this time. Arce of Spain it is who leads. Kipruto in 2nd. And Bayo, who's had a fabulous season. Chala Bayo, the 22-year-old Ethiopian, in 3rd. Bayo, you need to watch him. He's had big wins in Doha, 3rd in Rome, 2nd in Rabat. He's the world number 4 this year. He's been very, very consistent through 2018.
Other notable absentees today. Sadly, we lost Makisi just a few hours or so ago. Freshly crowned European champion who was in brilliant form in Berlin last week. That would have added some spice to the mix. And of course, Evan Jager not here, although he has already safely qualified for the final.
Well, Benjamin Keegan, who leads the Diamond League standings, is also up there. You can see alongside Arce, the pacemaker, just tucked in behind him. Kipruto in the white vest, looking very comfortable. If they're going to break 8 minutes, they need to go through 1 kilometre in 2:40. Not 2:37, that would be way too quick, and not 2:42, that would be much too slow. They need to be very close to 2:40 at 1 kilometre, as Keegan moves into second place behind Arce. But it is pretty quick. Already the field are really stretching out. Kipruto, a little glance over his shoulder there. Arce doing a good job at the moment. Kibiwot is there as well. Abraham Kibiwot, the Commonwealth silver medalist. As they negotiate this bend, they've got just under 5 laps to go.
Well, early stages of the women's shot put, and Christina Schwanitz, who will be still licking her wounds after the drama of Berlin last week. She was lying in the gold medal position with 1 throw to go and was denied cruelly by Paulina Guber, who's also here. So Schwanitz, a double European champion, denied a 3rd title here. And again, it's a question of mentally, as Tim was saying earlier on, of mentally picking yourself up for the next meeting. So difficult to do. Crushingly disappointing for Schwanitz in Berlin last week. And that's her 2nd round throw. She opened with 18 metres. And there it is, 18:20, a marginal improvement. It puts her into an early lead here in Berlin. Well, Manyonga with his final jump, leading the competition here. 8:53, remember, we saw from round 4. And he really went for that. It's probably not too far off, but he knows he's done enough surely to win yet again here in Birmingham. He really is super consistent. 8:42, the opening distance, the meeting record of 8:53 in round 4. And that looks to be another leap of around 8.5 metres. And that is why he's the reigning world champion. I think the event is in great hands, as Greg Rutherford, as we mentioned, is bidding an emotional farewell here to British athletics and world athletics. Simultaneously, of course, held the Olympic, World, Commonwealth and European titles. 8:47, that final leap. 8:53, the meeting record. Victory for Uva Manyonga. So there the final result. Gale and Frayne, 2nd and 3rd, with Visser, the other South African, in the field in 4th place. Dan Bramble there with 781 down in 7th.
So Keegan still leading in this steeplechase. They're coming through now with just over 3 laps to run. Kibiwot fell over at the water jump about 500 metres back. The pacemaker Arce take them through 1 kilometre in 2:45. It was actually only 8:15, 8:16 tempo, and he ran on with gritted teeth for another lap or so. But it didn't set it up particularly well, and this is now just going to be a hard-fought race against each other as opposed to against the clock. Keegan there and Nicholas Bett. He was only 8th in Rabat, that was his last race, but it was a very fast race. He actually ran 8:17 for 8th place. He takes the lead now from Keegan. Kipruto back in 3rd place as a very quick finish in the white vest. Look out too for the other Bet, Leonard Bett, who's in about 5th place, 6th place. Bayo is still there. They skip over that barrier. Most of them, these East Africans, choosing not to put a foot on top of the steeplechase barrier at the water jump. And they come into the straight now. And the time at 2 kilometres, 5:34. So that 2nd kilometre whirl, it was about a 2:49, 2:48, 2:49. 2 laps to run then in this steeplechase. Still Bet leading from Keegan. This pack of, 8 athletes well away now. Right at the back of the group is Hughes. He's having a good run, the Canadian, the Commonwealth Games 4th placer, 6th in the World Championships last year. He's a big-time competitor, as Hughes, and he's clinging onto the coattails of this group. He may get dragged to a fairly useful time here, but he is an 8:11 performer at his best. Lap and a half to run. Beginning to stretch them now is Bet. Keegan, though, matching him stride for stride. In 3rd place is Bayo. Watch him. Been in great form all summer long, winning in Doha, the opening Diamond League meeting of this 2018 season. And these 4 beginning to ease away now. Kibiwot in 6th place, fell pretty heavily at the steeplechase barrier 2 laps back. I don't think he'll be a factor. The bell this time now, and forcing himself to the fore, is Benjamin Keegan. Eases past Nicholas Betts at the bell, about 7:09 at the bell there, and just get the feeling Conseslus Kipruto is eyeing up these fellas to reuse that big kick of his, Chris.
Kipruto, who was off the boil, wasn't he, in Rabat early in the year, came back and was much better in Monaco and was talking very bullishly coming into Birmingham, and here he is starting to make his presence felt with 300 to go.
Well, he eases through on the inside there very comfortably past Bayo into second place. But look at the acceleration into that barrier. It's like a 400-metre hurdler. Fabulous stuff here from the leader, Keegan. Conseslus Kipruto. He's got his hands full here. 150 to run. The water jump for the final time. Oh, there it is. Keegan losing it completely at the water jump. Dear, oh dear. And it now allows Conseslus Kipruto to stride on, who's glancing over his shoulder. I don't know why. Conseslus Kipruto seems more concerned with what's happened to Keegan than running on and winning the race. Bayo challenging for the final barrier. These two well away from the rest of them now. But Conseslus Kipruto wins it comfortably. 8:14 the winning time, run of the mill by his standards. Bayo second, Keegan third, and I think Leonard Bett coming through for fourth place. But Keegan, well, he accelerated into the barrier before the water jump of that final lap, like he'd suddenly been given an electric shock. It was quite astonishing, and it gave him so much impetus. I don't think he could cope with the speed and the force with which he cleared and then hit the ground at the water jump. Watch it here. Driving on so strongly, bang, the leg just collapses. And in fact, he almost manages to trip up Conseslus Kipruto, who sort of says sorry, checks his friend is okay, and keeps on looking around. Chris, could you make out why he was so concerned when the victory was beckoning?
Well, I can only think that he thought maybe after the landing there from Keegan that somehow he was responsible for what followed. He wasn't at all. It was entirely of Keegan's making. Talk about relaxed into that final barrier from Kipruto, and then just picks it up to make sure he gets the win. The time, as you mentioned, pedestrian really by these guys' standards. Bayo can't get back at Kipruto, and well, he talked a good story and he's delivered, but what might have been is the question there had Keegan not lost all that momentum in the final water jump.
But these races today, these contests today, are all about points, all about getting round securely and getting those points safely and getting those points. Conseslus Kipruto will go top of the standings with that win, although Keegan's what, fourth place in that one. Impressive nonetheless. In fact, he finished in fifth place according to the results card. Benjamin Keegan, I think he will go top now. Kipruto ahead of Bayo and Bett. The race result, he didn't look overextended, did he?
Well, let's just try and wrap up this pole vault competition with Sandy Morris leading the way. Second and final attempt for Stefanidi, the newly crowned European champion. She passed in her second attempt at 4:62. This her second attempt at 4:72. No, it's not to be. Stefanidi, victorious last week in Berlin, has to settle for second place on this occasion in Birmingham, behind Sandy Morris, who continues to impress here in the Diamond League. She was leading the standings, was Morris, coming into Birmingham with 32 points. She's added another 8 points to that tally. Stefanidi will add 7. Both those vaulters comfortably qualified for the final in Zurich at the end of the month. So Stefanidi, a little bit of a hangover possibly from Berlin, but there the final result. Morris successful at 4:62, 3 failures at 4:72 for her, but on countback coming through, Stefanidi and Kyria Kopalu in Greece in third place.
Here is Bokelman then, round 4, her best to date 17 meters 51. Now, that looked better. That looked a little bit better from the Dutch athlete. Qualifying at the European Championships, couldn't do better than 16 meters 90. She would have been desperately disappointed with that. She's a 19.5 meter thrower. I should say. 17.78, yes, that is an improvement for Bolkerman.
Well, action on the track coming thick and fast after the men's steeplechase. We're getting ready for the women's 3,000 metres flat. There is the home straight. Bright sunshine now, as you can see here in Birmingham. A really knowledgeable crowd. I know it's a phrase we use a lot, but they are very, very knowledgeable here in Birmingham.
So Guba, Paulina Guba of Poland, surprise European champion last week with 19 meters 33. Guba then in round 4 here. She opened with 17.56, then a no throw, and in the third round 17.86. So gradually homing in on her best form, and that is perhaps a slight improvement. It's very close to 18 meters from Guba. 27-year-old turning back the challenge of Schwanitz last week. That was a real shock. 17.92 from Guba, but Schwanitz here today, 18 meters 20 in round 2, has the lead. Guba closing in.
Round 5 then, Daniel Thomas-Dodd, the reigning Commonwealth Games champion. 5th in the Diamond League standings coming into Birmingham here today. Looking to improve on 17.36, her opening throw. That is an improvement. It's anywhere near challenging the top 2. Schwanitz still leading the way there with 18.20 we saw earlier on. Silver medalist from Berlin last week, but Thomas-Dodd 17.72. It is an improvement. That puts her up into 4th position.
Well, that shot put with Schwanitz in such fine form in the second round, 18 meters 20. That's backed up in 18 meters exactly. Her opener. Those were the 2 best throws of the day.
So athletes out on the track with a little bit of wind getting up there for the women's 3,000 metres. The final will be a 5,000 metres in Zurich. 4 of the 12 places up for grabs have been filled, so there's still plenty at stake here in this women's 3,000 metres race. Helen Obiri, very much the standout name here in this 7.5 lap race. Also features English McColgan. We'll see her, I'm sure, a moment or two. There is some of the names. There is Obiri, Helen Obiri, who's been quite simply scintillating in recent weeks. The African champion over 5,000 metres, Commonwealth Games champion. Blistering performance, you may remember, in Rabat last month. So she is the standout athlete. Crummins there, who was so courageous in Berlin last week. The tank in the 5,000 metres was unemptied. The gauge was flashing red, but still she went on. Silver medal, brilliant silver medal for English McColgan. It again showed great tenacity in that 5,000 metres. Her first outdoor medal in a British vest. Salpeter, well, had a mixed fortune, didn't she? Took the 10,000 metres in brilliant style and then was disqualified and made a dreadful, dreadful miscalculation in the 5,000 metres and stopped running with 400 to go. One of the main threats to Obiri, Agnes Tirop from Kenya. She's 22 years old, second in Doha at the beginning of the season. Melissa Courtney from Great Britain goes there, as does Steph Twell. Slightly disappointing Berlin Championships for Steph Twell, on the 10th in the final last week. But a good field, a loaded field. And the pace-making duties being done by Renata Pliss, the Pole, and they requested 2:49 or 2:50 for the first kilometre. That would give 8:30 pace. So pretty breezy, pretty lively. And away they go in bright sunshine. The question is, who can stop Helen Obiri? English McColgan as well. Very, very relaxed and happy again around the team hotel this week, and getting lots and lots of congratulations, as you would expect, as all the medalists did on their return from Berlin. Of course, many non-Europeans competing here in Berlin. We shouldn't get too fixated on what happened in Berlin last week. Helen Obiri has been mopping up African championships as well. But Tim, Helen Obiri really has been quite majestic, hasn't she? After that disappointment in Rabat, it's been pretty much one-way traffic for the Ken.
Absolutely, yes. She always seems to produce just enough over the final stages to down the opposition. Nobody too keen to go with Renata Pliss here, who's gone off pretty quickly, it has to be said. So I'm a little surprised that that gap, what, 5 or 6 meters, developed in the space of about 200 or 300. But I shall be fascinated here to see how well Ailish McColgan goes, Chris, because it is difficult to pick yourself up after a championships. I've explained why emotionally it's draining. But she's all smiles in the start line there. She's rightfully received enormous plaudits and congratulations through this last few days. But has she remained focused enough to go well here against what is a very strong field? And I'm pleased to see Melissa Courtney out there racing too. She had a super time for that 5th place in the 5,000 in Berlin. What is her second event in effect? But how will they cope with the quality posed by Obiri and Tirop and one or two others here?
So Obiri in the centre of picture in the white vest there, with Tirop just to her left. Ailish McColgan just hugging the inside. Ailish McColgan was delighted to say she just heard her mother's, of course her mother, very famous former British athlete, Liz McColgan, the advice she gave her just before she went out for that final. Just run, have the courage to run to the plan that we discussed. And she found that once she did that and just completed the first kilometre on schedule, that just made her grow in confidence lap by lap. And she is looking supremely confident here, looking more and more comfortable at this world level. But it's Obiri here leading the way from Tirop in second place, with Crummins there also in attendance.
Well, we're looking for 250 at 1 kilometre here, so they need to be lapping at around 68 seconds per lap. Renata Bliss at the front there. When they come down through the line in front of us, that will be the 1 kilometre point. A 250 for 1K, well, clearly that is 8:30 pace for the full 3 kilometres. That is very, very quick indeed, Chris. If they can hang on to this sort of tempo with the fastest time in the world this year, 8:29, they'll be doing well.
Well, Renata Bliss doing her job, and there is a bit of a gap. We've seen it so many times on the Diamond League circuit this season where the pacemaker is a little bit out in front, but so far so good, on schedule.
The men's javelin then, and Julian Weber of Germany with his opening effort. That's not bad at all. Weber of Germany pumps out a big one there. He, of course, the 4th ranked German, didn't throw in those European Championships. He was 4th in the German Championships, wait for it, in 84 meters. That puts you up in the top 10 or 15 in the world this year, but he couldn't make their squad. But that's a super opener from Weber, 82 meters 63. He likes it. He's an 88-meter thrower at his best. He knows there's more to come. So, Marcin Krukowski of Poland. Opening effort for the Pole. He was 4th at the European Championships. He really mixed it well with the Germans. They were throwing in front of their home crowd. The Poles, of course, had a fabulous championships in Berlin. And that's not a bad opener either. Almost right on the 80-meter line. He has been throwing well. 4th in those European Championships, as I say, but he was 2nd in the London Diamond League. Won his national championships just before Berlin with 82 meters. And then through 84 in qualifying in Berlin and 84 meters in the final. That one for Krukowski, 79.93. Well, hasn't got that lovely 8 to start with, but it's a solid opener from the 26-year-old.
Well, just under 4 laps to go in this women's 3,000 meters, and it's as you were at the front, with Helen Obiri controlling matters, with Tirop, her compatriot, and we haven't mentioned yet Constanze Klosterhalfen, who was out injured for around 4 months with a knee injury and came back to Berlin for those European Championships and finished a very creditable 4th. There she is, centre of picture, a really gutsy runner. And the only question mark for me, Tim, is that if you wind the clock back 12 months, Helen Obiri came to this race in Birmingham fresh from victory in the World Championships in London. It was all set up beautifully for Obiri 12 months ago, and actually she had a bad race, and she was out-kicked, surprisingly, by not 1 or 2, but 3 different athletes, and one of those was Klosterhalfen, so she's got quite a kick. The question mark, I guess, for the German is, has she fully recovered from that knee injury?
Well, that's exactly right, because it could be argued the Kenyans and many of the other Africans come here a little bit fresher, perhaps, than the best of the Europeans, although those athletes who participated in the African Championships, which were received in a mixed way. 2:54 for that second kilometre, by the way. 5:48 at 2K. It is slow, very slow. It's becoming a tactical 3,000 now. They have, those who went to the African Championships, Nigeria, have a right to be tired as well. There were huge logistical problems with those championships, and many athletes, a lot of the Kenyan team too, spent a night sleeping on the floor at an airport trying to get a connecting flight to the venue.
Including Caster Semenya, if my memory serves me correctly. Obiri then and Tirop, the two Kenyans side by side with 800 to go. Klosterhalfen in close attendance there. We also should mention the third Kenyan, Lydian Nengaruk, who's just keeping her nose and her powder dry there on the inside, with Klosterhalfen on her shoulder. And Melissa Courtney also having a fine race there for Great Britain, with Steph Twell, I'm afraid, quite a bit further back.
Yeah, Courtney having a really good run. Ailish McColgan just trying to maintain contact with this leading quintet. A lap and a half to run, Chris, and it is well, it's become almost a 1,500 metres race. So slow was the opening half of this race, in particular that second kilometre, much slower than the first. But you can see McColgan there in 7th place, trying desperately to get back on terms with that leading group, but she's running out of track in which to do it.
She is indeed. Less than 500 to go, and they're all positioning themselves as they come into the home straight for the penultimate time. And it's the three Kenyans here leading the way. A little bit of a gap opening up to Melissa Courtney and Klosterhalfen, the two Europeans significantly who were running last week, and they hit the bell. Kenya 1, Kenya 2, Kenya 3. And Tirop now controlling things from the inside lane. Obiri on her shoulder, and Rengarup, who now takes closer order. And with 300 to go, it's Rengarup now. Is this decisive? Obiri trying to get back on level terms, and it's Rengarup from Tirop. Obiri now in 3rd place. We talked about that blistering finish of Obiri. Well, we'll need to see it again, because these two Kenyans have opened up a gap, and Tirop now. And the leaders change hands once again with 200 to go. Tirop, Rengarup, Obiri now, fading in 3rd. Desperately trying to make up this gap. Tirop, the youngster. Tirop, 22 years old, leading the way, gritting the teeth. Rengarup in pursuit, into the home straight. And Tirop, has she got another gear? She's opening up a bit of a gap here. And Tirop, barring any accidents, will come home. These two well clear. It'll be a Kenyan 1-2-3, but Tirop, who we said may well be the biggest threat to Helen Obiri, it's proved to be the case. 8:32.21. Rengarup in 2nd place. Obiri comes home a rather distant 3rd. And Ailish McColgan, well done to her, rallying not just physically but mentally as well after the exploits in Berlin last week, comes home for 4th place. Well done once again to Ailish McColgan, the leading Briton, but it's a Kenyan 1-2-3, and it's victory there for Agnes Tirop from Kenya.
Well, an uncharacteristically average run by Helen Obiri, the world 5,000 metres champion, just having the legs run off her there over the last 200 or 300 metres, and a pen tempo she would normally cope with pretty well. I got Tirop's last lap there at 61.9, very good closing speed, but not something that would normally trouble Helen Obiri. Let's not forget she's an 8:20 athlete in the winning time there. A very respectable 8:32 by Tirop. It is not far off a lifetime best. The closing tempo, very, very impressive indeed. Indeed, it's a personal best further down the field as well. Melissa Courtney, 8:39, a personal best there for the Briton, Chris. In 5th place, huge personal best for Courtney, some 7 seconds or so.
Brilliant finish also from Ailish McColgan, just showing the grit and determination there to come through in 4th place. And a personal best and national record, we should mention, for Salpeter down in 7th place. But they're the result: Tirop, Rengarup and Obiri, the Kenyan 1-2-3.
So Hoffman, round 1 of this men's javelin. He's 7th, second to last in the throwing order, and that's a big one from Andreas Hoffman, the European Championship silver medalist. Fabulous opener from the big German. He is a huge fella. Born in Heidelberg. Studies at the Schiller International University. Whatever he's doing, don't change too much because it's working very well. 85 meters 10 for Hoffman.
There is Estonian Magnus Kert was also among the medals last week in Berlin, preventing ultimately a clean sweep for the Germans. The left-hander took bronze behind Röhler and Hoffmann. So Kert, extravagant follow-through. 82.67 for Kert. That is an improvement. It's a substantial improvement. Puts him into third place.
Well, we saw Hoffmann take his opener. That was 85.10. Very impressive opener for Hoffmann. He's a 92-meter thrower, though. That was on the 2nd of June this year, his lifetime best. And that's bigger. That's much bigger from Hoffmann. Fabulous effort. And that really does slap the gauntlet down at the feet of the others. Thomas Röhler amongst them. The European champion, the Olympic champion. Gold last week in Berlin, could only open with 79 meters 40, but Hoffmann there, his compatriot, the silver medalist in Berlin, goes out to close to 90 meters with his second round throw. 89.82, it's a monster, and Hoffmann leads by several meters now.
Well, here is the victorious German from last week, Thomas Röhler, enjoying yet another battle. One of the loudest cheers of the whole week in Berlin when his spear went way over the 85-meter mark. That's a little bit short of 85 here in Birmingham in the sunshine. Once again, it really is psychologically so difficult to get on an aeroplane and find the strength, the mental strength to get back to that highest level. Adrenaline, of course, coursing through the veins. Celebrations, I'm sure, in Berlin would have lasted a few days as well. But here he is back in action. 84.33 for Röhler, and that puts him, tucks him nicely into second place behind his teammate Andreas Hoffmann.
Well, here is Kax. Again in the second round, I think. No, around 77 meters, 78 meters. He doesn't like it, saves the officials the trouble of measuring. Well, there's a confirmation of the win for Schwanitz, Christina Schwanitz, from Germany, the silver medalist last week. The winner with 18 meters 20 from Guber, the European champion last week, 17 meters 92 from Poland. And there's the qualifiers for the final. At the end of the month, Schwanitz, Saunders, Gong, Thomas Dodd, Guber, Adams, Dubitskaya, Bokelman, all those familiar names are there. And have several of them throwing well today to boot.
Well, athletes already out on the track for the next final. We've had a couple of heats already in the earlier part of the program in front of a packed crowd. It's the men's 110 meters hurdle final coming up very shortly.
Well, here we are. Tobe at 2 meters 24 in this men's high jump. Ooh, we give that little scrape. Goes clear. Came in at 2.16, cleared that fine, as he did at 2.20, and that's a first-time clearance as well at 2.24 for Naoto Tobe. He's a 2.32 jumper, did that a month ago, his lifetime best. Bronze medalist back in the World Under-20 Championships in 2010. Not really anything internationally since then, but looks to be rounding into solid form now.
The final of the 110 meters hurdles, and, well, packed with quality, and a couple of terrific heats earlier on this afternoon, with some fairly big names not making it through to this final. I can tell you that 5 of the 8 athletes who will be in the final in Brussels have already qualified prior to today. Let's take you through the lineup in full. Lane 2 from the USA, Freddie Crittenden, who finished 3rd in London 4 weeks ago. He's here as a fastest loser from those heats earlier on this afternoon. Ronald Levy also only here as a fastest loser. Only just scraped through 13.55, the Commonwealth Games champion from early this year. 3 times a Diamond League meeting winner. Oh, terrific in his heats was the Canadian, something of a surprise, finishing ahead of Ronald Levy, Jonathan Cabral from Canada. Andrew Pozzi, world indoor champion, of course, in this very city, just what, a couple of miles down the road at the arena. Has had a mixed outdoor season, only 6th in Berlin last week, but he was impressive in his heat, 13.42. Fernando Ortega, European Championship bronze medalist from Berlin last week. He goes in lane 6. Next to him, the newly crowned European champion, but how close was it? Just 0.02 of a second. The victory over Sergei Shabenkov has been very much the outstanding athlete here. He's not in Birmingham this afternoon. Martin Lagarde in 7. Constantino from Brazil goes in lane 8. And second British athlete here in this final in the form of David King, who was 3rd in his heat earlier on and was national champion last year. To the final of the 110 metres hurdles. Crittenden, USA in 2, Levy, Jamaica 3, Cabral, Canada 4, Pozzi, Great Britain in 5, Ortega in 6. Martin Lagarde there, the new European champion, in 7. Constantino, the Brazilian, in 8. David King, Great Britain, goes in lane 9. Ortega in the orange vest there of Spain, the fastest in those heats, 13:38. The winning time. The men's 110 metres hurdles final. So they'll be able to get a good start, and Pozzi has done exactly that, already up into his running. He's got half a yard on Ortega in the orange, but here comes the Spaniard, coming through nicely now in the second half of the race. What has Martin Lagarde done? Not enough indeed. Ortega very comfortably indeed, and look at the celebration. 13:08 the winning time. That is impressive indeed from Ortega. Ronald Levy, the Commonwealth Games champion, coming through from lane 3 to take second place. But that was a gulf there in class from Ortega. It's a season's best as well for the Spaniard. Pozzi got a good start, but was reeled in the second half of the race. And Levy also came through very strongly there. Confirmation 13:22. Just waiting for confirmation of the 3rd place finisher. No doubt about it. Look at that margin of victory. 13:08, 13:22. It was the European champion Martin Lagarde, who also likes to come late strongly. He got 3rd, and I'm afraid Andy Pozzi, from a British perspective, rather fading after Tim. A very good start.
Yeah, he did get a fabulous start, Andy Pozzi. They're right in the middle, but look at the way Ortega here accelerates between the barriers. Much bigger leg speed and opens up a big gap. He's getting away from Pozzi by about a foot every 3 or 4 strides between the barriers. The Britain ends up, what, back in about 4th place, 5th place, but that's a big winning margin from Ortega, and 13:08, a fabulous time. He knew it too.
Well, clear daylight on the photograph. Ortega supreme. Levy, here it is again, second from right of picture. Not the best of starts from the Commonwealth Games champion. And at this stage, well, already here we can see Ortega starting to come back. And once he was clear, he was away with Martin Lagarde in pursuit.
So impressive, Ortega. He wasn't intimidated by the very good start of Andy Pozzi. Britain just seems to be having to rebuild his confidence after some very moderate performances mid-season. Didn't do what he wanted to do at the European Outdoors, having become world indoor champion earlier on this year, and he's just not matching it with the best at the moment. He needs to find another 1.5 meters, 2 meters over that second half of the race, particularly over the last couple of flights.
Well, the result, 13:08. The winning time for Ortega. Levy in second place. Martin Lagarde, the European champion, down in 3rd. And Pozzi, after that promising start, fading to finish in 5th. And there the qualifiers for the final in Brussels at the end of the month. Mouth-watering quality. And the name of Sergei Shabenkov also in there as well, who's been the #1 so far this season.
Well, we can go back to this men's high jump. The bar at 2:24. Here was Michael Mason of Canada. That's nice. Lovely jump from the Canadian. Second at the Knockout Games just last week with 2:28 meters. Pops over 2:24 there, does Michael Mason. Although he had little hiccups at 2:16, cleared that second time, and then at 2:20 second time, first time at 2:24.
So Barrett stood at 2:24. There is Robinson. Tall figure. Stuart Robinson, first time clearance at 2:24. Really rangy athlete, terrific height. Perfect arc over the bar, leading with the right shoulder, coming into that parabolic run-off, take-off.
And here is Stark, Brandon Stark, at 2:24. He pops over as well. His third first-time clearance. And of course, first-time clearance is so important. Keep that clean card. Strengthens your hand in a count-back position. Stark first time at 2:16, 2:20 and 2:24. Chris Baker, I'm afraid, of Britain, the only athlete to exit the competition at 2:20.
Women's long jump then, first round for Lorraine Hugen, the world #1, leading the world standings with that magnificent 7:05, achieved in this very stadium earlier in the summer. Disappointment though in Berlin last week for Lorraine Hugen. Didn't really get going. Only 2 have qualified before today for the final in Brussels in the women's long jump. Disappointing 9th place for Lorraine Hugen in Berlin last week. It's their opening effort. Somewhat short of that 7:05. He really did struggle. Lorraine Hugen, 6.5 metres. 6:50 exactly. Puts her into an early.
So the European champion last week from Germany, 24-year-old Malaika Mihambo. 6:75 is all it took last week to take gold. It was a bit of a surprise, that. Ahead of Beck and Proctor, Ukraine and Great Britain respectively. From Mihambo. Well, it looks a fairly modest opener. The big surprise was that Spanovic didn't get amongst the medals at the European Championships. The Croatian, or Serb rather, excuse me, who many would have thought was the outstanding favourite for gold, just couldn't do it when it mattered. So unlike her. Mihambo did though. And her opener, 6:49. Well, something to build up. It won't be a winning distance, that's for sure. So the next event on the track, the Emsley Car Mile. Famous race which has been going for decades under that name. Named after a famous sponsor of the sport of track and field, and the trophy and the book that the winner each year signs. Considered a prestigious thing to get your hands on. Bennett, Germany, goes here 7th in the European Championships last week. Ryan Gregson, 9th place in the Commonwealth Games. The Australian champion McSwain, Stuart McSwain, 5th in the Commonwealth Games, 5,000. Nick Willis, we've rocketed past Nick Willis. That's a shame because he's a big-time performer on the paper and the fastest in the field. Halusa, well, we've stopped on him, but frankly, he was a big disappointment at the European Championships. Didn't make the final there. There's Paul Chalimo, better known as a 5,000-metre runner. He's the US champion. He's the Olympic silver medalist from Rio at 5,000. He's never run under 4 minutes, though. His best 4:08, but he is world-class. He certainly can go a long way under. Chris O'Hare, 9th in the European Championships, the UK champion under Terence Mahon. He's come on and on this last couple of years, based in Boston, but he will have been desperately disappointed with that 9th place in Berlin. O'Hare is a 3:52-miler indoors. Williams, Charlie de Waal-Grice, we saw just then, who was 5th at the European Championships, goes here. Kalle Berglund of Sweden, and Erik Avila as well. Neil Gurley, by the way, be to the extreme left of picture in the white. He wasn't selected for the European Championships, despite 3rd at the UK Championships. So, well, the pace will be laid down by James Magut of Kenya. We're looking for around 1:54, 1:55 at 800 metres from him. That would take them round in about 3:50 pace for the mile, and with an acceleration over the final lap, if they maintain that tempo, and that's a big if, then we could get a sub 3:50 mile here. There's several men here capable of it, but only Nick Willis has done it. 3:49 he ran in Oslo 4 years ago, Nick Willis. The oldest in the field at 35, by some margin to Willis. So Magut takes it out then. And we're looking for what, around 57 seconds as they come through in front of us. Here's Bachir in 2nd place, Avila 3rd, Gregson then O'Hare, then Debjani, then McSwain, Berglund. Hunter is back there in the pack, Kibet. Nick Willis fourth from the back at the moment as they come through below us in 56.1 at 400 metres. That's good pacemaking, really good pacemaking. Most of the pack had probably gone through in around 57 seconds, 57.5, which is amply fast enough. Well, here's Bachir laying it on here, making his debut in a mile, the 31-year-old Djiboutian. He was fifth in the London Diamond League, where he ran a personal best for 1,500 metres of 3:35. That was, what, a month or so ago. And he is the only athlete here who has gone with the pacemaker Magut. Now, that's an interesting gap he's got. Probably 15, 18 metres on the chasing pack. They're allowing him to get away, and he's no mean performer. Now, if the pacemaker here, James Magut, can do a good job and take him round some of this third lap, they're coming up to halfway now. Well, the pack being led by Avila with Gregson and O'Hare behind him. They're going to have some real hard work to do. They go through, and that's fully 20 metres, maybe more, back to the pack as they go through 800 metres, Chris.
Well, Paul Chelimo just taking closer order there, just sensing that that gap might be getting uncomfortably large. I think he's on the chase here, and hopefully he will drag the rest of the pack with him and try and close that gap.
1:53 it was at 800 metres, 56.1, and then a very good solid second lap, 1:53.78. So here's Bachir there in second place. The Djiboutian will have gone through in just outside 1:54, I suspect. That gap is still about 15 or 17 metres. It's just beginning to close, a lap and a half to run. It is Paul Chelimo who leads the pack. He's a strong man. He will want to make this hard from a long way out. Ryan Gregson in third place, sitting on his shoulder. They're queuing up behind now. Kibet on the outside. McSwain looking strong. Coming round the outside in the white vest is Gourley near the back of the field, as the gap is closing all the time now as they come towards the bell. It's going to be very tight here at the bell. And the pack go through. And his Bachir has shot his bolt, I'm afraid. With over 350 to run, he is swallowed up by the pack. Ryan Gregson now with 300 metres to run. He's been in good form as Gregson. Down the back straight, in second place at the moment is McSwain, the Australian, who's been ripping up his personal best in recent weeks at 1,500 metres and 3,000 metres. A 3:34 and a 7:34 for 1,500, 3,000 recently. Gives him real speed and strength, and these two beginning to get away. And my word, as the pack let them get away, there's some tired legs there, in particular from the Brits, the Europeans, like Charlie de Valgrice and Chris O'Hare. But the rest of them allowed them to get away here, and Gregson is storming down the home straight. McSwain coming back at him. It's an Aussie 1-2 here, there's no doubt about that. McSwain, with the biggest win of his career, takes it. 3:54.6 from Gregson. And in third place there, Paul Chelimo would have set a massive new personal best of around 3:55.5, 3:56. But what a strange race that was, with so many in the pack never really getting the bit between their teeth in the second half, when they should have recognised the danger of the big gap that had built up at halfway and was even still there to some extent with a lap to run. Nobody really changed gears down the back straight, Chris, and started closing on the leaders. And only the two Aussies made a real race of it up front.
And how they did it, didn't they? McSwain there with a massive lifetime best, and you could see from the celebration, celebrating not just the victory, but also the time. And Gregson, as you say, really would not have predicted that at all. Chelimo really struggling to get back on level terms. He took the initiative with, what, 500 to go. But in the end, well, an Australian 1-2. Look at the celebration. And Chelimo, how often do we see that? Not very often at all. Trailing in their wake. Willis also further back still.
Well, Paul Chelimo third with 3:55.96, his first ever sub-4. McSwain enjoyed that one, didn't look overstretched either, did he? Wow, 3:54.60, a new personal best for him. Ryan Gregson, 3:55.1. The best of the Brits, Charlie de Valgrice, in front of the home crowd in seventh with 3:56.97. And that is such a privilege to write your name in that book. Ran the Emsley Carmile a few times myself, never got anywhere near winning it. So would love to have been able to add my name to that book, but you have to be a very special athlete, and the special athlete today is Stuart McSwain, the 23-year-old Australian, born in King Island, just off Tasmania. Not a lot of people know about it. It's clearly produced a Great upbringing for young Stuart McSwain, the Australian. 11th in the 10,000 at the Commonwealth Games, 5th in the 5,000 metres. He's got real strength, and as he's proving, superb speed as well.
Now, long jump, Catarina Ibargüen then. Obviously known as a triple jump champion of some repute here in the long jump, which she occasionally does, and that's good. Showing great speed on the runway, as she does in the triple jump, of course. It's probably a second or third appearance in the long jump on the Diamond League circuit this season. Just to remind you, 2 have qualified already for Brussels. There are spaces up for grabs. Ibargüen has qualified for the triple jump final, of course. This is her second round jump, 660 the opener. Possibly a slight improvement in round 2. It is indeed 664. It puts her into the lead. The triple jumper is leading the long jump.
Well, the second attempt at 224 for 227 rather for Michael Mason. Cleared 224 first time. He failed the previous 2 heights the first time and cleared it, and he does the same here. Yes, Mason goes clear at 227. Well, he's an Olympic finalist at the age of 31. He's got plenty of experience, of course. Second in those NACAT games last week. Was only 7th in Monaco a month back with 227. But that's a nice clearance. Good daylight between the Canadian and the bar. He's cleared 232 this year. Robinson now at 227. Goes clear second time as well. Well, he took 3 attempts at 220. And Bilko also struggling at this height. The newly crowned European champion from Berlin. Here's Stark, 227, yes. And that second time of asking for Stark as well. Tobe still in the competition, by the way, but he hasn't gone clear yet. Can tell you that Sawe of Kenya, McBride of the USN, Bilko, all exiting the competition at 224. So we're down to 4 at 227.
Next event on the track. Sorry, Tim. Next event on the track, eagerly anticipated by this Birmingham crowd. It is the women's 1,000 metres, and it is all about Laura Muir and the clock.